From the tiny hopes for Ant-Man 4 being crushed to Eternals 2 becoming increasingly unlikely, here's a list of all the MCU sequels that are most likely dead after Disney's new update. Let's start with what the new update is. When it comes to the Marvel Cinematic Universe, Disney CEO Bob Iger likes to talk about how new it is.
Here's what I don't understand.
Yeah, what?
You've been on the air, 17 years
17
this
years.
January.
Yeah.
I've never been on the show.
You've not?
I've not been asked to be on the show.
But recently at a conference, the executive questioned whether or not Marvel needs to keep making multiple versions of each character. His words came after the most recent big MCU movie was panned by critics. Sequels typically worked well for us, he said. Do you need a third and a fourth, for instance? Or is it time to turn to other characters? I mean, can we blame him? Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania is not only one of the worst reviewed Marvel movies ever, but it's also dropped 69% at the box office in its second weekend. That's like the second biggest drop in MCU history. He even emphasized on how they need to now focus on quality and not volume to keep costs from going up too much. But we should keep in mind that his words could put at risk a number of rumored and planned sequels, especially since they might not be needed to move the characters' stories forward. So it looks like Thor 5 probably won't happen now. Chris Hemsworth was the first of the MCU's original cast to get 4 solo movies. Thor: Love and Thunder came out in Phase 4 of the MCU, right after Avengers Endgame, and caught up with the Asgardian God of Thunder. In Ragnarok, Taika Waititi gave the movies a new lease on life by putting a comedic spin on them. But Love and Thunder was highly criticized for having too much comedy, and according to fans, this often took away from the more important storylines of the film, which was a surprise for both Waititi and Hemsworth. Now, although the ending of Love and Thunder tells you that Thor will be back in the future, after Iger's comments, it's likely that Hemsworth's next showing in the MCU won't be in Thor 5, but rather in Avengers, the Kang Dynasty, and Secret Wars. What's more? Well, due to recent changes in Hemsworth's personal life, it's possible that these will be Thor's last adventures in the MCU. I know, this is very sad news, but hey, on the bright side, this could give other characters a chance to tell their own stories. And speaking of sad news, the hopes for a small-scale Ant-Man 4 might have been dashed.
Dr. Pym?
You don't need to raise your hand, Scott.
Sorry, I just have one question. Who are you? Who is she? What the hell's going on? And can I go back to jail now?
After Quantumania, there were rumors that plans were already being made for Ant-Man 4. Some members of the group even said they'd like to go back to the smaller scale action of the first 3 movies. But since this one got a lot of bad reviews, it's possible that the planned sequel will never happen. Peyton Reed and Jeff Loveness took a lot of chances with Quantumania, especially when they brought Kang the Conqueror into the movie, which could have ended the series. The 2015 and 2018 films of the series were both released right after the big Avengers movies to lighten the mood of the MCU. But with Quantumania, Scott Lang and his team of people who can change size fell into the usual Marvel pattern. So any hopes of going back to the smaller scale stories of earlier Ant-Man movies might have been crushed. It's more likely that these characters will show up in other MCU projects, maybe like the Phase 6's Avengers events, and a possible Young Avengers project with Cassie Lang, aka Stature. And just like that, fans shouldn't have high hopes for other Deadpool either.
That does it! Oh! Canada! That's not good.
Wade, please.
Cockshot! Oh, your poor wife.
Because at this point, it looks like Deadpool crossovers could be more likely than Deadpool 4. Technically, Deadpool 3 will be the first MCU film for Ryan Reynolds' Merc with a Mouth. But since the character has already been successful in Fox's X-Men series, it's possible that future sequels won't just be about Wade Wilson. In the comics, the character's known for jumping into the stories of other characters, especially Wolverine, Daredevil, and Spider-Man. This could be a sign that Reynolds' character will do the same in the MCU. In fact, it'd be so cool to see him connect with other MCU characters in other projects, and he could even show up in future X-Men or X-Force movies. Not just this, but after the 3rd film comes out in 2024, the studios could make even more Deadpool movies. But Iger's new words and the fact that the focus is now on newness makes it super likely that its future in the franchise will be with other Marvel properties. After Avengers: Secret Wars wraps up the multiverse saga, Phase 7 and Beyond are said to focus a lot on mutants and X-Men in the MCU. This means that Deadpool will probably interact with a lot more characters than he did in his Fox movies. So yeah, Deadpool 4 might just not happen. Other than that, there's one more movie that you probably shouldn't have high expectations for. Let's be real, Eternals 2 is increasingly unlikely to happen. Even though it was Chloe Zhao's first Marvel movie, it quickly became one of Phase 4's most controversial projects. Many people criticized it for trying to do too much in too little time. In its 2.5-hour runtime, the film brought thousands of years of history and 10 new all-powerful superheroes into the MCU. I mean, in a way, this does make a sequel even more important, since there's still a lot to explain about the Eternals, their time on Earth, their celestial creators, and the big changes made to their Marvel Comics origins. But the new update may indicate that the controversial project won't be continued on the big screen. There have been rumors about an Eternals 2 movie for a while, but Marvel hasn't said anything about it, and it's possible that the planned movie will be changed, and it might not even be about the Eternals. This could work if Eternals 2 went deeper into the mythology of the Celestials, who have been a part of the franchise for a long time and deserve more attention. Some people even think that Eternals 2 could be a Disney Plus series. But guys, don't be sad just yet. Even though Bob's recent comments make it clear that several planned MCU sequels will be cut, not all hope is lost. So let's talk about which MCU sequels will be safe. After Spider-Man No Way Home came out, Marvel Studios and Sony made it clear that more movies with Tom Holland's Peter Parker would be made for the MCU. A planned trilogy is already in the works, and Spider-Man 4 has already been announced. Also, it's very likely that Ryan Coogler will be in charge of making Black Panther 3, which will continue Chadwick Boseman's reputation in the MCU. Then there are rumors that Doctor Strange 3 and Shang-Chi 2 are being made, which would continue the stories from Phase 4 of the MCU. Not just this, but Sam Wilson's first movie as Captain America was New World Order, and it's very possible that he'll have more solo movies after that. Oh, and Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 will be the last time we see James Gunn's Guardians of the Galaxy. But there's no question that a new team will form, which could be led by Adam Warlock, who's new to the MCU. And then there are new projects like Fantastic Four, Blade, and even Thunderbolts that could have sequels after they come out. So yes, the future of the Marvel Cinematic Universe still looks very bright. Well, this is it, guys. These were all the MCU sequels that are most likely dead after Disney's new update.